This is my Genesis GV60 Performance, which I've owned now for over a year. And today, I'm going to give you everything good and everything bad about our ownership experience. Hey everybody, my name is Victor. Welcome to Car Jubilee, where the stars of our show are our EVs, like our Genesis GV60, our Ioniq 5, and our Tesla Model Y. So if you want more content, make sure to check out the full channel. Now, this GV60 has kind of been the forgotten EV on our channel. We've done a ton of Ioniq 5 content, and we're planning to do a ton of Model Y content. But our GV60 just hasn't really gotten that much screen time. But in reality, this is actually the car that I drive the most, the one that I spend the most time in. And the truth is, I love it. So let's start with everything good about it. I would want to start with just this interior. Everything's blue, everything's leather, everything's silver finished or metal, and man, it's a very fun, very unique interior. I love just about everything in here. It feels like it's top tier luxury car stuff. The kind of stuff you would expect in European competitors, this has it. Another thing that's really good is actually the fit and finish, the build quality. Everything in here lines up perfectly. The stitching and everything is really high quality. And even on the outside, all the panel gaps are pretty much perfect. I like to nitpick, but I really don't have anything to nitpick about. This thing is just so well put together that it's probably the best that I've ever owned. And what's really incredible is that this is a first model year car. Genesis never made this car before. And usually first model year cars have the most issues, the most squeaks and rattles, the most panel gap issues, but this doesn't really have any of that. So really great job by Genesis. And while we're on the interior, another really good, maybe even one of the best features about this GV60 is actually the driver's seat. I have back issues. I have herniated discs, I have nerve damage in the legs, and in most cars, driving 2 hours straight, at the end of it, I'm in discomfort, I'm in pain, and I can't really do that back to back to back. But with the Genesis GV60, I've done, 4 to 5 hours a day, back to back to back, every single day for almost 3 months while our son was in the NICU. And it was just a lot of driving back and forth during work, then to the hospital in the evenings. But honestly, those 3 months, my back never felt better. On the flip side, I've been driving the Ioniq 5 more as my daily driver recently, and after a couple of days, my back was starting to feel sore. But as soon as I jump back into the GV60, I start feeling better. And that's kind of due to the secret sauce, if you will, of what's in this driver's seat. It's the fact that they have an air bladder in this base cushion that you can customize. You can inflate it, you can deflate it. It really gives me that supportive seat that I need. I have not hit my limit in this seat. I'm pretty sure I could sit here all day, every day. I almost wish I could move this seat into my house or make it into a couch. This thing is awesome. Hands down, the best seat I have ever had in any car in my life, period. And then there's the power. This thing with boost mode has almost 500 horsepower, 0 to 60 time close to 3.5 seconds. These are numbers that are pretty much my dream car. Things that I never imagined I would ever have, but here we are in this beautiful EV with almost 500 horsepower. And my son, my 3-year-old, absolutely loves it. He always says green button, because he wants us to just launch it. He wants us to take off. And we both love the sound. We both love the graphics that come up. It's a lot of fun. Some people think it's childish, but for me, it's like playing Need for Speed or some kind of video game. It's just so much fun. I have absolutely zero regrets getting this performance model because I wanted the extra power. Another feature that I really love about this GV60 Performance, and maybe something that people don't talk about enough, is actually the ride quality. The ride quality here is very different from the Ioniq 5 and the EV6, unless you have the GT version. This thing has adaptive dampers up front, and the ride feels like clouds. Now, I've had a lot of different cars before, and I've never felt or ever wanted to describe that feeling even on our old Volvo that had air suspension. But this one legitimately feels like I'm riding on clouds. There's still a lot of road feel, but it's so gentle. It's like it's tickling your bottom almost. Like even big bumps, man, it just smooths and flattens everything out really well. There's not much bouncing or bobbing up and down. The Ioniq 5 typically feels like a softer ride, but there's a lot of bouncing up and down, and even on those bigger, harsher bumps, you kind of feel like the suspension's crashing. There's no crashing feeling on this one. It's probably the best mix of road feel and comfort that I've had. Probably my favorite suspension ever. And how could I talk about this car without talking about the regen system? This to me is the best regen system in the industry. You have these paddles that let you shift in real time to the exact regen level that you want. And when I drive, I use them every single day of every single drive. When I'm driving, essentially my foot is either on the accelerator or it's fully off. As soon as I need to start braking, I'm fully off the accelerator and I'm just using these regen paddles to come to a really smooth and gentle stop. And it's engaging, it's fun, it's customizable, and there's not really anything else like this in other EVs outside of the Ioniq 5, the EV6, and other Hyundai Group EVs. No one else has a system that's so well tuned that lets you do what you want to do. And it's engaging, it's fun, it's customizable. So if you want one of the best regen systems in the industry, the Genesis GV60 has it. Another really good feature that I've loved about this car is actually this scroll wheel. You know, with the Ioniq 5, EV6, and a lot of other EVs that only have touchscreens, you'll notice that when you're trying to navigate through stuff on the screens, you have to reach forward, maybe further than you would like to. You have to move your arm off the armrest, and as the car is moving, you're trying to look for a point to steady your hand. Oftentimes, you'll have to kind of rest your hand on top, but I don't have to do any of that because I have the scroll wheel. And this thing is so good, so intuitive, that I never have to look down. And so every time I get back into my Ioniq 5, I think, as I'm reaching, I really wish this thing had a scroll wheel like this. Not only is it a scroll wheel, it's also a trackpad and a sketch pad. It does so much. It literally lets you control everything on your screen without ever having to touch the screen, which for me is perfect. Another feature that I love is this over here on the outside, face unlock. And I can't tell you how many times I've actually used it. Probably a couple hundred. Whenever it's parked at home, oftentimes I don't have the key on me. I may not even have my phone on me. Well, I use face unlock and I have 100% success rate getting into the car, getting what I need, and then getting out and locking it 100% using my face. Some people have said that they have issues with it, but for me, it's been 100% accuracy, 100% reliability. I absolutely love it. I've used it in the rain, I've used it in the snow, I've used it at night, I've used it in bright, direct sunlight. It works every single time for me in every single condition. I think Genesis did an amazing job with it, and honestly, I hope other manufacturers follow suit and add it because it's so useful. I mean, how else do you get into a car without a phone, without a physical key or a key card? Your face, and it works. And truthfully, there are so many more features that I love about this car. I could go on for days, but just to highlight some, the 360-degree camera system is great, the parking sensors are great, the speaker system is great. I love this glass roof with retractable shade. You know, works really well. I love the suede headliner. Like I said, there's so many amazing features in here. This is hands down one of my favorite cars. I just love spending time in it. I love driving it. You know, it's an amazing car. My purchasing and my servicing experience overall with Genesis of Cherry Hill has been really good. Purchasing went really smooth. On top of that, they threw in some free stuff, even a free service contract for a year. And then as far as servicing, everyone there has been really nice. They provide loaner and valet service. Well, they'll bring the loaner to my house almost an hour away and then take my car, drive it back to the dealership, and I essentially don't really ever have to visit the dealership because of this loaner and valet service. With my Ioniq 5, it's essentially at the same dealership, at the Burns Hyundai half of the dealership, but I have to drive it there physically myself and pick up a loaner, and it's 2 hours essentially round trip. But I don't have to do that with this Genesis. So I've actually loved the experience that I've had buying and servicing through Genesis of Cherry Hill. Everyone there has been really, really nice. I feel like it is a luxury car experience. They are in the process of building their own dealership separate from the Hyundai portion. So once that's done, I look forward to seeing it, because I think that will further enhance the luxury experience of the Genesis brand. Today's video is sponsored by ShockFlo, specifically their G1 Level 2 portable EV charger. Now, it comes in two different versions. There's a 32 amp version and a 40 amp version. The charger itself has worked really well. It's IP67 rated for outdoor use, so no problems in the rain. I like the look. The screen is also very clear, very easy to read. Also, it's really easy to change the charging speed. Now, this one is considered portable because it's relatively small, and it comes with a carrying case. They do include a wall mount bracket if you'd like to mount it. Now, personally, I like the idea of having one that I can take with me versus a bigger, bulkier one that's kind of stuck on the wall where I can't take it on the go. Now, this ShockFlo G1 charger uses a J1772 connector, but if you own a Tesla, you can still use it with an adapter. ShockFlo does sell their own adapter as well, but actually any J1772 to Tesla adapter will work with it. Now, this does have a delayed start charging feature where you can tell it to start charging later, for those of you that want to take advantage of off-peak charging hours. There's no Wi-Fi connection, no app, just plain and simple plug and charge or delayed start charge. So the G1 from ShockFlo is a very solid choice if you're looking for a portable charger. And it just happens to be one of the more affordable options. So check them out on Amazon or on their direct site. I'll list the links below in the video description. So thank you, ShockFlo, for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get back to it. Alright, so now let's talk about everything bad with this car. And that has to do with servicing, though not really servicing through Genesis of Cherry Hill. More so servicing with corporate. Our car has been struggling with phantom braking. When I'm trying to make left turns through opposing traffic, every once in a while, our GV60 just decides, nope, and it stops us in the middle of an intersection. It usually lets us start the left turn. So once we start making that left turn, just out of nowhere, just decides, nope, shuts it down, cuts power to the pedals so we can't move for about 3 to 4 seconds, and then all of a sudden, you know, everything returns to normal and lets us continue going. We've posted tons of videos about it, and for whatever reason, corporate just hasn't really done all that much about it. Yes, we did bring it in. Yes, they did have their engineers come out and take a look at it, but their response has been that we cannot replicate it, and when we test the sensors, everything tests as being okay. I have video proof too, showing it's doing an unsafe left turn emergency brake maneuver. It's kind of hard to see in real time because it happens so fast, but you'll hear the sensors go off and you'll see my head and my body kind of get thrown forward a bit when the car starts braking aggressively. It's not a perfect example because it's not what I did the other 2 times. In this one, as I'm making the left turn, you know, the oncoming car passes and I make that left, but you can kind of hear the sensors start going off as soon as the car's past me. It's almost like one of the sensors back here is picking up the car and refusing to let me make that left turn. It's been just a uphill battle with corporate. They keep on saying there's nothing wrong. I keep showing them, well, something's wrong because it's only happening to my car. You know, other people have GV60s. No one else has reported phantom braking moving forward. Now, on the reverse side is that when we reverse into the garage, well, without fail, once every couple days, couple weeks, the car slams on the brakes for no reason. Again, we're backing into the same exact garage spot and just randomly it will decide to slam on the brakes. So again, I think it's something faulty with our sensors. Now, I have seen other owners report similar conditions where they say reversing into a garage, this car is just more sensitive than others and just tends to emergency brake very frequently. I don't know if it's a sensor issue or a programming issue, but again, that's just been an uphill battle. Corporate keeps saying there is nothing wrong. Now on the other end, we've had an efficiency glitch, which I spent almost a year trying to explain to them and show them, yes, it is indeed happening. They finally admitted, okay, we see the glitch, and there will be an update probably that'll happen to fix it. Well, it's been 5-6 months and we still haven't seen that efficiency glitch fixed. So again, another uphill battle with corporate. Another bad thing has been digital key. Digital key on my Ioniq 5 works okay. I mean, I can use it and it works to unlock, lock the doors, and do basic functions. But with the Genesis, with this GV60, digital key is not available. It only works for Apple phones and Samsung phones, but not any other Android phones out there. And it's been over a year. I've reached out to them before and said, hey, do you know if Android phones are going to get, you know, compatibility with digital key 2? And they always say, don't know. Digital key 2 is supposed to be the upgraded digital key, so why is it only available for Apple and Samsung? If that's the case, then just downgrade it to digital key so I can at least have digital key. As I mentioned before, Face Unlock is great. I can get into the car, lock, unlock it without fail every single time. Amazing feature. The problem is I'm supposed to be able to use this fingerprint reader to start the car so that I can actually drive it without any kind of key. And that's where it's failed miserably. My success rate is about like 5 to 10%. And so essentially I have to bring a key, or I have to bring a key card, because my fingerprint does not work with this reader. I will say I have a lot of issues with fingerprint readers in general. With my phones, it'll work for a couple days and then it'll stop working and I have to reprogram it. I don't know, maybe my fingerprint's always changing or something, but this fingerprint reader for me does not work. And the very last thing I want to mention that is not good or is bad is the app. I've mentioned this before with my Ioniq 5 using BlueLink. It's just really bad. It's slow, it's glitchy, it goes down for weeks at a time. Sometimes the app shows a different car, different color car, different trim, and in general it just can't be trusted. And you know, it'll work sometimes, but if you rely on it for daily things, for me it's just been unreliable and I unfortunately don't like using it. So yeah, I really love this thing. I mean, it's such a great daily commuter car because of how small it is. I can navigate narrow city streets, I can parallel park pretty much anywhere, but on top of that, it's fast. It's got almost 500 horsepower, so it's fun, and it's comfortable inside with that amazing driver's seat, and it's so luxurious and quiet inside. It's just been such an amazing car. The flip side is that it's been kind of difficult dealing with corporate, because like I mentioned before, the Phantom breaks, and it does it unpredictably, and when that happens, well, I just don't really feel comfortable putting my family in there for longer trips. So I use it daily as my daily driver, and I'll do, you know, local pickup and drop off for the kids as needed, and we'll do local stuff. But if I need to go 10-15 minutes away, I'm not putting my kids in here. So that kind of makes it difficult to live with on a daily basis. Currently, this car is going back in. Genesis is going to investigate further. This is, I don't know, the third or fourth time it's going back in. Each time it goes in, they take a look and they send it back saying there's nothing wrong, and I say please take another look, so it goes back in. We'll see what happens this time. But you know, with all that said, mine is the only GV60 that I know of that has this phantom braking while left turning issue. So I would say don't let that determine whether you want to buy this car or not, because for most people it's been perfect. Even for me, if not for those issues, it's almost a perfect car. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. See you guys in the next one.